So in order for me to be able to go to C2E2 today, that meant that Jeanna had to cover the store entirely by herself. So we're going to do a new segment where we check in with Jeanna. Jeanna, how'd it go today?
It was great.
Awesome. That was checking in with Jeanna.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics. Keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
You're listening to Contest of Challengers, a podcast shipped to your ears every week with zero corner damage.
Did you want to tell Franco's Flat Earth joke now?
I'll let you do it.
No, I'm okay. I will. I don't want to rob people of the experience of meeting Franco at a convention and asking about his Flat Earth joke. But we got to hear that joke today because we went to the Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo 2021.
Yeah, so as you may have deduced from the Jeanna segment from just before this, and thank you again, Jeanna, for opening and working by yourself all day today.
Thanks, Jeanna.
We were at C2E2. It's today. First day was today. It's Friday. First show we've been to since C2E2 last year. It's weird to say C2E2 last year when it's not quite 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was
February, end of February.
22 months between shows.
Yeah.
So that's a lot.
So it was very close. And it was, well, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
There was no diamond programming. There were no retailer summits or breakfasts or gatherings. There was no organized retailer content. So...
no retailer track.
And this is going to sound, I don't know, entitled.
Uh-huh.
But it's the first C2E2 we've ever had to pay to get in.
Yeah, that was a little surprising. And we put off buying tickets for a long time because we're like, maybe Diamond's going to say something, or maybe C2E2 is going to offer tickets.
And keep in mind, like the first 5 years we got in because we had a booth.
Right.
So we technically paid.
Right.
But we never had to get general admission tickets before.
Yeah, after that, there was the Diamond Summits and the Diamond Retailer Breakfasts, and I think sometimes where it was just like you could get tickets to the show through Diamond from ReedPop.
Yeah, I felt like there's always a meetup or a component or something. Maybe not an organized publisher, a solicitation, exposition.
Yeah.
But sometimes that.
Yeah, I do remember it was mostly retailer breakfasts where you would just go in very early and there would be a little bit of a presentation from like a few different vendors, Marvel and DC and maybe Image.
Some of the smaller ones.
But like then there would also be like the summit days, and those would be the much bigger ones where there were full presentations from like a dozen different publishers, plus like meet and greet seminars.
Yeah, and roundtable discussions.
Yeah,
or
all sorts of stuff.
Like open house for distributors, publishers, vendors.
Yeah, which I mean we found generally valuable.
Yeah.
Never exactly in the ways that Diamond intended to be, but certainly we derived some value to our business from those meetups.
I remember one specific event where at a table it was you and I, Jen Haynes from The Dragon, Brian Hibbs from Comics Experience, and I think Eric Christmer from Chicago Comics. And it was at the very end of the show, and Scotty Young was at the podium presenting Bully Wars, maybe?
Okay, that sounds about right.
But at the same time, it might have been I Hate Fairyland.
No, it was Bully Wars.
Bully Wars, okay. And at the same time, you get special retailer giveaways from publishers for going to this event. Yeah. So at the same time, they were finally giving out the variant cover grab bag for retailers, and this is, picture a normal convention hall with a stage and an audiovisual presentation and round tables throughout
that's the thing, more like a kind of banquet hall thing where there's a lot of different round tables instead of like rows of chairs.
But 2 rooms where the wall comes out in the middle. And right in the middle of Scotty's presentation, they start giving those away, and 90% of the room just gets up and runs to the back of the room to get in line for their free shit.
It was super rude.
And I just looked at our table. I'm like, man, like we were already drawn to these retailers for like-mindedness and what we believe about the industry, but the fact that no one at our table got up, and then we didn't get the next day. Oh no, we didn't get the thing.
We didn't get the thing because by the time we got in line, it's like no, they definitely ran out, which is why everyone was running in line. But we ended up talking to the publisher whose book ran out. Yeah, and then we all worked out.
Yeah, but also like the next day, we apologized to Image. Yeah. On behalf of all retailers, and I apologized to Scotty. And Scotty's like, no, man, I get it. It's the end of the day. They want to get out of there.
But it's shitty to do.
It's super shitty to do. No. But then I remember apologizing to Image, and they were not happy.
Yeah, I mean, would you be if you had paid money to sponsor some of that content, and then 90% of your prospective clients ignore you to go get in line for another publisher's giveaway comic? Yeah. Oh man, I would be I was like, great, we're not presenting here ever again. This was a huge waste of time.
Yeah. But anyway, that's the kind of stuff that would happen before. Right. And I remember immediately after that, we rushed over to Reggie's to see Richie Kotzen play live.
We did. It's true. Both of us.
Yeah, you came.
I did.
And then 2 days later, the next day, the next night, I saw him again in Naperville.
Did you really?
Yeah. It's back-to-back Richie Kotzen. I had to go. I had to go, Dal.
He had probably written 15 songs between show A and show B.
Probably.
So you might as well go. He's going to play some new material.
All new material. It was weird. He played all those. The two shows were different for the most part, and all just his solo stuff. No Winery Dogs, no Poison.
That's cool.
Yeah, no Mr. Big.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
Good for him.
Anyway, none of that was this year. So this year, we had to go like everyday people.
Yeah, it was just the show.
Like commoners.
That was kind of all there was just going to C2E2. So we waited as long as we possibly could before we bought tickets, just in case we wouldn't have to, but we did have to. And thankfully, because of it being a COVID year, tickets were available. We did not have any problem getting tickets for Friday a week before the show.
At the point we did it, 3-day passes were already sold out, but we didn't want those.
No. But we were able to get Friday tickets without a problem, and we'd kind of heard from people who'd gone to Emerald City, which was the
weekend before
Reed Pop show right before, that kind of what to expect as far as
protocol
prepping ahead of time. Like you do need to be vaccinated to go, so maybe use the Clear app to get all your vaccination stuff in order beforehand, so you don't have to wait in a huge line or whatever. So we did all that. It was me and Patrick and Molly Jane, and
Challengers United.
This was a real quick aside. So originally it was just going to be Patrick and myself, and Molly Jane was going to be working in the store on Friday, and then that ended up not being necessary because Jeanna was more than capable
of covering.
And what we've always found,
not even covering, it's her main, it's her day, but it's usually with me.
Right. One of the things we've noticed over a dozen years
is that I'm superfluous
of C2E2 in Chicago is that it really kills our business. No matter the time of year it runs, if C2E2 is running that weekend, we will see a lot less people in the store.
However,
today was more than the usual Friday.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
it was not up to the holiday season.
It wasn't super busy. So it wasn't.
It's still more than we expect on a C2E2.
That's true.
Friday.
That's true.
I think it's because of this season.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it being 2 weeks before Christmas definitely makes people more inclined to be out in the stores.
Yeah.
And as we would find out, attendance at C2E2 this year was not necessarily where it would have been in previous years. Whether that's because they capped ticket sales or because people, didn't feel like it was safe going, I can't say. But anyway, so we did all of our stuff ahead of time. We did the Clear app to get our vaccination stuff in there so that it would just generate a QR code that they could scan at the event to verify that you are vaccinated and all the associated vaccination information on your account. Except we get there.
Well, first, like I keep wanting to say schedule, but not. But the procedure would be go to the health check-in, which we thought was just one spot, but in fact it was one spot with a lot of tables to go through.
Yeah,
which was great. So they were all these stations open, and two, a second one over by the metal detectors, it looked like.
Yeah, once the corrals where people would wait to go into the event, they also had a screening check right before the metal detector. So if you'd missed the one on the ground floor, for whatever reason, there was a second one upstairs, so you didn't have to travel all the way back downstairs to get that done ahead of time. Because you did need to have proof of vaccination to get a wristband. They did want to see the vaccination wristbands.
Yeah.
For anyone who was coming in.
Yeah, only when you were going onto the show floor.
Right.
Or getting into line.
Yeah.
But probably, if you wanted to go to a panel, probably we didn't do that.
But the weird thing was the Clear app, you bring it up on your phone, and it has your picture, and it also has a giant QR code that they can scan. When I brought it up on the phone, they literally just looked at it and went, okay.
Yeah, same.
They didn't scan it. They didn't do anything else.
I think at this point, if you have it, because you have no idea...
I don't know what Clear is doing.
Right. You know what Clear is doing, but you also know, like, C2E2, they didn't have a show yesterday, so the mere fact that you're bringing it up means you have it and you're good.
I guess it's just weird because I didn't buy tickets to C2E2. You did.
Yeah.
So there's not like they can link my name to my ticket because it's just Patrick Brower with 2 tickets.
Yeah.
So I don't...
2-ticket Brower, they call me.
The logistics of it, I don't understand how it's helpful in any way, but I guess they're okay with it. So yeah, we did that, and it went...
A ticket for love and a ticket for money.
Yeah, there you go. So we did that, and it was incredibly fast. I was through the health check-in in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Probably 30 seconds. It took longer to put the wristband on.
Yeah, it's a cloth wristband with a Bond. It's a James Bond thing. Yeah. It's a cloth... You talk. It's a cloth wristband with an adjustable plastic like dongle at the end, but it only adjustable as in can make it tighter, like not looser.
Bead? I don't know what you call that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so after that we went to the will call counter to get our tickets that we bought ahead of time. Once again, super fast.
Yeah.
We waited for maybe 5 seconds before a window was open.
They just had a little bit of trouble scanning the QR code that I had on my phone.
And then we were ready to go. We all went inside, went upstairs, through the metal detectors super fast, corralled up. We were there for half an hour before we got let into the show.
Open bags, just throw your stuff in a normal metal detector procedures.
Yeah, same thing they've done every year pre-COVID. Really the new additions were the health check-in and, you have to wear a mask.
Did you see there were some staff members who had T-shirts on the back that said, like, mask something, like mask Wrangler.
God, no, it wasn't Wrangler. I wish I remember what it said.
Mask guard, mask. Basically, a person whose job is to make sure you have a mask on.
Yeah.
But their shirts clearly labeled it.
Yeah, so that if they were coming up to you or they were saying something, you should probably take it seriously.
And not take your mask off to eat a churro.
Correct. So then we went into the show and we just had a good 6 hours at the C2E2 convention.
Yeah, I guess it was 6 hours. You're right.
Yeah.
We were talking about this on the car on the way home. Time doesn't seem to move in a linear fashion in the show. It
dilates in weird ways because we were there and it felt like for each of us we'd already been there for 3 hours. Then we checked our watch and we'd been there for an hour and a half. It was like, how did we do so much in just an hour and a half?
Yeah.
How are we so tired already from just an hour and a half in the show? And
I'm tired because I'm old. Also I stayed up way too late last night. Which I knew I was going to do.
That'll do it.
I knew I was going to do it. Yeah. It just happens.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, all right, I can get into bed.
I went to bed
by 1. I can get into bed by 1 because of the show. I did not.
Mm-hmm.
I did not at all.
I had to get up at 7 in the morning, so I made sure I got to bed by midnight. And then I was... I got up frequently overnight, but when I woke up in the morning, totally fine.
I have... In my iPhone, I have... like 5 or 6 different active alarms.
Mm-hmm.
And I pick and choose which one I set based off of its proximity to the actual time.
Sure.
But I never necessarily look at, because it's all music that I've edited that goes into the ringer, the alarm noise. I just randomly set it. I don't pay attention to what it is because it'll wake me up.
Sure.
Only... when I woke up this morning, and this is really nothing to do with comics and quite a tangent, and I don't remember the name of the song, but it was a Kiss song. And I remember waking up thinking, like, oh, Kiss is playing. And I just think it's the radio. Mm-hmm. My iPad, my iPod. Jesus. my iPod. And then I'm like, no, that's still playing. Like, oh, it's the alarm. I have a Kiss song for an alarm? That's so great. Hit snooze. 9 minutes later, wake up. I have a Kiss song for my alarm? It was like a little surprise each time.
Your brain reset itself.
Yeah, I like it.
But anyway, getting back to the whole time dilation aspect, like later in the day, it was like 3-something, and yet it felt like we had just gotten there. And we had barely seen the show at all, even though we'd been there for over 5 hours. I would say it's a fun day at the show. I had an overall good time. I think it was one of our more successful shows in the sense of, you know, not only seeing booths and getting things for ourselves, but also saying hi to friends and meeting a bunch of new people that we were able to say, like, hey, we want to buy books from you, or hey, please think of us next time you're in town and want to do a signing.
I mean, literally, our goal at each C2E2, and we usually focus strictly on Artist Alley, from A to Z, going by every table. We don't stop at every table.
No, can't.
But what I'm looking for is somebody that I don't know who has sequential work that jumps out at me.
Right.
And it's very hard to find that at C2E2 because the vast majority of Artist Alley is, this year at least, pins and prints.
Yeah, I would say there's still plenty of like pros, but those become their own trouble as far as like meeting and greeting, but also they're not bringing work to sell. Like they're not bringing comic work to sell.
Right. Like I'm not talking about.
You mean new creators?
Yeah, people that like up and comers, people we don't know. Right. I'm not talking about, you know, Tim Seeley, Ryan Brown, Dan Johnson.
No, I didn't mean them either. I meant like industry pros that we don't necessarily know. But they're definitely
like I mean, I did stop to talk to Bob McLeod because, you know, I'm a kid of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and
co-creator of the New Mutants.
I bought, to his banner. Yeah, he is. He definitely is a co-creator of New Mutants, and I bought his sketchbook, and then I looked through his original art, and while it's worth every penny he was asking, it was a little bit more than I was willing to spend.
Yeah.
But I mean, we wouldn't be looking at doing a Bob McLeod signing anyway.
No, that's true.
We're looking for people that have something coming on the horizon, and we're looking for people we've never seen before.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, what we're looking for is like the next Rachel Bard.
Yeah.
We want people who it's like, you made something that's amazing, and I want to be able to carry that in my store if you'll let me. And we did. We actually found a few people like that. We found a few things where it's like, you know, after the show's over, maybe before the holidays, maybe after the holidays, please get in touch with us about wholesaling stuff.
Yeah, we'll approach somebody and say, hey, we love your work, like to carry it in our store. Do you wholesale the stores? And then we make a point of saying, not now. We are not trying to take away the stock that you were trying to make money out of this show.
Right.
We will talk to you when the show is over.
Right.
It would be better probably if one of us was there Sunday to go up to people at the end of the day to be like, hey, we'll take your stuff now, so you don't have to pack it and ship it, and we can have it right now.
Yeah.
But that we're not going Sunday. Like I've done that in the past when I had a 3-day badge.
Right.
I don't have a 3-day badge this year.
Yeah, and honestly, that's always a real problematic time to do it because not everyone loads out at the exact same time.
Yeah.
So you think it's like, oh, cool, at X time of the day, I'll just hit everybody.
Some people have been like, come back before we, like, come back at the end of the show. I'm like, I can't come back to everybody at the end of the show.
Nope.
But now it being Christmas, it's like, let's hook up at the beginning of the year.
Right.
And then we'll go from there.
Yeah, people are stressed out enough that I don't want them to have to worry about packing up a bunch of stuff, you know, December 13th to ship
mailing
out to
things
us.
out in the middle of the holiday crush.
Nope.
But yeah, there's one of the people we were talking to with the mask on looks so much like our coworker Lizzie.
It's true, she
that
does.
It was a little disconcerting.
That's weird.
I felt more comfortable talking to her.
Sure.
Her name was Fend, and it was just like talking to Lizzie.
Pretty much, yeah.
But her, like, literally, I'm taking full credit for Fend because I'm the one who stopped and said, "No, we're looking at this table."
Yeah, I thought I noticed it as well. It was stuff that I caught it out of the corner of my eye. I went, what's this?
But you'd already taken like 2 steps past and had to come back. I had stopped.
Okay.
Yeah, but well, either way, we could each say we saw her.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I remember it the way I remember it because I thought it was really interesting that as I was flipping through a book, you were already like, "How do we get these books?" Like, you had carved out like, "Let's talk about wholesaling." So it was like you and I did not even have to talk about. This looks like stuff worth carrying.
Yeah, we know what we would like. And I mean that's always a goal, but it's got to be a sequential story. I don't want your art book.
Right.
I don't want your prints.
Yeah, prints and sketchbooks and stuff like that, they don't sell. They especially don't sell if it's new artists that people don't know.
Yeah.
And they're just impossible to display.
There's a couple of artists who are really sharp that caught my eye, and I like glanced at the table. I'm like, nope, it is just prints.
Yeah.
This doesn't help.
No.
I want more.
Right.
So so it was Fend, and it was
Aew.
Aew, yeah. And like just finding 2 is a huge success rate.
Yeah, it was really good. And then we also briefly talked to, while they were setting up, unfortunately, a local pin manufacturer, because they had some very cool genre designs. We'll see if we can get those in the store. And then, of course, we stopped by Rachel Bard's table, and she had her new book that was amazing.
The Chinchillastrator.
And then we were very, like... she also had, like, greeting cards and some other stuff. And that was an artist where we're like, everything. We want everything.
Yeah. Like we have...
Not just the comics.
We have all your comics.
Like, we need the new book, and then we also need whatever else you've got.
And we've had cards of her before, but, like, 1s or 2s.
Sure. But now we got that spin.
I'll be honest, I don't care about the stickers.
We
don't have, not that I don't care about them, we don't have a good way to sell them.
Right. We'd have to figure that out.
Yeah. If we could ever find, which we never will, the missing pin holder from Blue, they could go in the little drawers.
They sure could.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we can just put them in one of the square drawers, the larger drawers for the red one. We would just have to get rid of some pins, maybe, or bundle them up somehow.
On a little side note, here's the thing I was thinking about for the store.
Okay.
We had somebody come in with a whole bunch of local creator books, but not theirs, representing other people.
Right.
And it was like 7 different titles.
Yep.
And they weren't new.
Nope.
Some had price stickers from other stores in the city from 6 years ago.
Yeah, or 16 years ago.
Yeah, we can't.
A little hard to
we
tell.
Can't tell. It was either 2015 or 2005. And it just felt like they're pawning off just junk on us. But then the next day, and I don't even think you've seen it, the next day we got a really fun kaiju local book. And it's like, man, I love this book. I mean, it looks great. But I had been thinking, if we just... Because we got this stack of new books, and you're like, just put them in the boxes.
Yeah.
So it's like, I like the idea of having some spotlight stuff on the shelves.
Sure.
But I was also thinking, like, we could keep saying like all the time if we want, but that's bad. Clear that shelf off. Put all the local books in the boxes.
Okay.
Clear the top off and put Rachel Bard stuff on top in the little cases. And then have a new display for something else.
I don't know about that. I like having a local section. We do have people who come to town who are like, I want local Chicago stuff. So
we do still have the local section.
But, I mean, having a spotlight version of it. Because, I mean, you and I talked about the fact that in 2022 we're probably going to get away from doing consignment stuff. Because it takes up a ton of space and it's just not valuable, I think, for us or for the artists. But I think we'll move more towards just outright buying stuff from artists we like.
Yeah.
Instead of, like, it's not going to be a thing of, like, we won't carry local books, but, like, let me see what you've got, and I'll be able to say, you know what? No, I don't want to carry this. Like, we will tell people no. We're going to have to. But on the other hand, I'd rather just tell people who are in from out of town and have some books, you know, and don't want to have to worry about how do I get paid, how do I get them back if they don't sell, to just be like, I'm going to buy 5 of these right now from you. And then you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And if they sell out and we need more,
we'll contact you.
We've got your info. We'll be in touch. No record keeping, no whatever. We own the books. Everyone gets paid.
And I can't tell you how many of these consignment books we get stuck with.
A lot.
I say stuck with boxes. As in our consignment agreement says we'll keep them on the shelf for a year.
Yep.
We usually go a little bit longer than that. And then when we contact people, they just don't care or they never come back in.
No one comes back for it. We have literally boxes of consignment stuff that we have pulled and is ready for someone to pick up, and no one has. So yeah, it's not valuable. And I mean, look, there are things that we've tried doing and things that we've done over the years where eventually we say, you know, we're not the right store for this. I'm sorry. There are other stores in the city that are better for this. Go to Quimby's.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to do consignment stuff and we say no, go to Quimby's. They will absolutely do consignment stuff. That's their whole thing. That is a very big part of their identity as a store, is doing consignment stuff for zines and like small press comics. We are probably going to move more towards just buying outright from a smaller group of people.
I believe in the industry they call that curated.
I guess. I mean, it's going to be tough. I don't like the idea of someone coming in being like, hey, I got a book to sell, and us looking at it in front of them and going, no, thank you. But, we're probably going to have to.
Well, I think the easiest way to do it is be like, hey, I'm real sorry. We've discontinued our consignment program. We can't take these. But for the ones we like, it'd be like, you know what, let's just outright buy these.
But I just don't know how I would get a look at it. With like, it would be weird to be like, hey, I wanted to consign a book. All right, let me see it. Flip, flip, flip. I'm sorry, we don't do consignment anymore. Like, I don't know how you do that without it being even worse than just saying outright, like, we're not doing consignment, but some stuff we're going to buy and some stuff we're not. Let me take a look. So yeah, it'll probably be a thing where we'll just have to get in the habit of being like, look, I'm sorry, like, this is not a good fit for our store. Definitely.
We have standards.
Kind of. But, phrasing it more in a sense of like, again, try Quimby's if you haven't already. There's other shops you might want to check out and name a couple local stores, like drop by there, see if they're interested. Try and like turn something of like, we don't want this, but another store might, here's a suggestion. Instead of just like, you thought you were going to get this on the shelves today and you're not now. Like, I want to have a better answer than that.
Also, being on the shelves doesn't necessarily translate into sales.
No, again, the very fact that we have boxes of things that did not sell, that we can't get people to come pick up, kind of proves that. Yeah. But that's going to be a 2022 thing, is maybe revising our policy on consignment product.
Lots of changes in 2022. One of the things that I was saying to people, and I'm sure you and MJ got sick of hearing, was when people are asking, like, how's the store? How are you handling pandemic?
Right.
And I would say, well, we took 2021 as a year to refresh.
Yeah.
We looked at all the policies and procedures that we started enacting because of the pandemic and realized now that they are not temporary. They are the store.
Yeah, it's permanent.
So we've embraced them, and things like, the red chairs that used to be in the front windows that people sat on during parties or whatever just to read books and things, they're gone. We had them on top of the bookshelves for well over a year, but they're gone now because they're not coming back.
Right. It's been a year and a half.
Yeah. The kids' coloring area and the action figures that they used to play with.
The little tables and chairs.
Yeah. That's all gone.
Nope.
It's not coming back.
It's gone.
And I think it's in service of, more product and better representation of things on the shelves.
Right. And I'll be honest, like, if we had a store that was significantly larger, I'd love to have both. I'd love to have all the product we have now, plus, little chairs and tables and plush chairs and everything else. But
also not at a point where we're worried about germs being spread.
Right. But I mean, putting that out of my head, like, with the space we have now, even if like COVID disappeared tomorrow and germs weren't an issue, like, it's still like, we have too much stuff. I got nowhere for chairs. Like, we're at a point where we're trying to figure out, like, how do we do signings? Because a lot of the things that we would normally have, like, where we're putting artists was where we used to have chairs and stuff. So we would move the chairs and we'd put the folding table there, but now we have bookshelves there.
So those are out into the store from the window,
right? So we
opposed to
we lose like 1.5 feet to 2 feet of where we would normally have people sitting, for tables. So it's like, well, we have to have a better solution now, and I think we came up with something we're going to try, and we'll see how that goes. But it's just more work for signings.
Yeah, but most people don't want to be lit on fire anyway, so
I guess
it probably wouldn't work out well.
We don't know,
but like that was the thing. I'm like, we refreshed the store. We got new carpet for the first time since we opened.
Yeah.
New interior signage, new exterior signage. we're just trying to make the store
a new manager, and then we point at Molly Jane.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a huge change for during the that's how we survived the pandemic, by doing these things.
Yeah,
and we're looking toward it being, challengers of the future.
Right.
So that was the kind of like the token response people were getting.
It was pretty canned.
But I think it's a good response.
It is.
Like when people say, "Oh, how's it sorted in the pandemic?" You don't just want to go, "Oh, fine."
Yeah. People want a little bit more coverage than that. And it's good that the show you always have canned responses, because you'll be getting everyone at the show is getting the same questions all weekend long. So you need to have like a quick encapsulation of what you're trying to express to people. Whether you're a creator, a retailer, a fan, a celebrity, a staff member, whatever.
Did you find it difficult to recognize people?
No. I mean, a couple times where it was just someone who I haven't seen in like 2 or 3 years. We ran into Azzarello at the end of the show, and legitimately did not recognize him.
Yeah, but that dude made a significant change in the way he looks.
He did, it's true.
And you can't be... It would be like if I shaved.
Mm-hmm. Which you have before.
Right, but I haven't ever shaved this whole thing off.
That's true.
And then I'm walking around with a mask, and you know that there's a giant white beard that should come off from under the mask, and it's not there.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because I tie pretty great tie knots for the most part. Like, I go out of my way to make nice, big, fat knots, and I love them.
Uh-huh.
And look at this Krampus knot.
Yep.
Because and no one sees these knots because of my beard.
It's true.
It's like, why am I wasting it? Like,
why are you wasting your time?
My ties, because of the way I do the knot, it uses up a lot more of the tie. So the actual...
The tie itself becomes very short.
Yeah, look, like here, this one...
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, look at it. But you can't see it because it's in a vest.
because it's in a vest.
And I can get away with it. But if you look, the back of it is...
I'm just going to think about that now every time I see you in a tie.
But
it's
look,
like,
the back of it is just like right here.
14 inches long.
It couldn't be any longer because it's all used up in the knot.
Uh-huh.
It's not like the tail extends inches past the front. No, it's all...
The whole thing's very short.
It's all in service of the knot. And I could not use these knots without a vest.
That's true.
But no one gets to see them.
Maybe you should go without the vest, and it would just be hilarious. This is a very short tie.
I would look like... I literally just forgot his name. He's a wingman. J.D. Drake. I would look like J.D. Drake. Because I wear suspenders.
You wouldn't, because you would look like if J.D. Drake had gone through like a big scenario. Where he just had a child's tie.
Yeah.
And then suddenly became a full-grown adult in the exact same tie. It's got that look to it, where it's like, everything about this tie just looks too small now.
Well... It's not normally like this because I know this, so I buy extra long ties.
That's true.
But sometimes you don't have that option.
No, Krampus tie's a Krampus tie.
Yeah, and it took me forever to get these. I wanted these ties for last season, and none of them showed up on time. And I was disappointed with both of them because they weren't Krampus fabric that they made into a tie. Mm-hmm. They were white ties that they screen printed or whatever, computer printed the image on it. So if you look at...
The edges.
Like this one is a little off center with the thing, but if you look specifically at the I wore a Cap America tie tack today, because I was afraid of my tie shifting.
Sure.
But if you look at the loop, this part,
sure, there it is,
solid white,
printed right on it.
Yeah. So look, you see the seams here.
Yeah.
It was just a white cotton tie that they just printed over.
Okay.
And I'm disappointed with both of them because it makes them look blurry. And
I thought it looked fine.
Well, it's centered down here, but they lose it on the way up the tie.
Sure.
But I mean, no one even noticed the Krampus tie because the tie is hidden behind the lanyard and the badge.
And the beard and the vest.
And the beard and the vest. Yep. And I deliberately, when I first put on the Captain America tie tack, it was down a little bit lower.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm going to pull it up so it can be seen. It was never seen.
I'm sorry.
But I mean, it did its job. The tie stayed in the center where it's supposed to be.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. So we wind up seeing people that recognize us, and I had multiple conversations with people that I outright even said afterwards, I'm like, I don't know who that was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's like one or two people that I started the conversation midway through. I'm like, oh, I got it. I know who this is. Mm-hmm. But there's still like two of them that I'm like, I don't know who I was talking to.
I don't know that I had any conversations with people I didn't eventually recognize or figure out, but there were about 3 people who would say hi, and I would afterwards go, I don't know who that was.
There was a few times like, hey, Dal, turn on and say hi to, and then I would say their name. But one of the things I don't like about meeting people at a show is if you don't know them, and they know a friend of yours, and your friend is like, oh, had you guys met? And you're like, no. Like, hey, man, I'm Patrick. And he's like, hey, how's it going? There are multiple people, like, they never said their name.
Right.
I don't know who they are.
Nope.
Luckily, Molly Jane knew one of them.
Okay.
And was able to say who they... She's like, oh, I thought I recognized their voice. Mm-hmm. Like, I have no idea who that was. And when somebody says, hey, man, nice to meet you, and they walk away, I just want to say, we didn't meet.
We did not meet.
Meeting someone is exchanging names and introducing yourself. I don't know who you are. And then I was talking to a fellow retailer whose store went away, but I think before COVID. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to say, hey, man, what happened to the store? But I didn't want to be a dick.
Right.
So I never did.
Right.
So I'm still curious, though.
You'll never know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like a lot of people, they say, oh, I got to come by the store.
No, you don't. It's fine.
But yeah, it's definitely... I think I'm good at recognizing people... well, that's not true. I'm good at recognizing, like, oh, that's a subscriber. I don't know their name.
Right.
Things like that.
Sure.
But I'm real good at people's voices.
Yeah. That
doesn't help in a crowded situation.
That is true.
Like this was. And traditionally, when we get to C2E2, we hit Artist Alley, we pick an end, top or bottom, and just go through up and down every row. Last year we didn't do it because we walked in and stumbled into the Aew booth.
Yes, which was first thing when you walked in.
Yeah.
Thankfully, that was not the case this year.
Right. But this year we still did.
Yeah, we usually, you want to do Artist Alley immediately because that's the work. But I kind of always want to do, like, let me just walk down, like, a row of,
vendors,
booths for, like, just 10, 15 minutes. Let me do that part before I have to do the, like, saying hi to a bunch of people and making conversation, doing all that stuff, which is harder work for me. The experience of just...
And let's not sugarcoat it. It's work.
It's work, yeah. That's the work part. So I kind of steered us a little bit like, hey, let's, instead of immediately taking a right when you walk in, going along the wall all the way to Artist Alley and then starting at the Z's or whatever, let's go down, shoot straight down the hall. So we're passing different booths that are selling different things. And then we get to the back of the hall, and then we hang a right, and then basically do the inversion of that, where we just shoot along like the celebrity autograph wall, and then head over to Artist Alley, and then start in that section.
Well, here's some real talk from me about my physicality. Mm-hmm. I have nerve damage in multiple points of my body. And I've talked about a pinched nerve I have in my back now. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about permanent damage to my limbs. Mm-hmm. And as a result, if I'm on my feet for a long period of time, my feet turn into hoods. They just feel like Frankenstein feet, like they're just clomping on the ground. They're not. They're performing their job the way they should, right, but they feel like cinder blocks.
Right.
So I know that when I'm going to a show, I'm on a ticking clock.
Right.
And I even said it, like, today, I'm like, I think I can go till 4 o'clock.
Right. So, like, even though the show itself went till, I think, 6.
Yeah.
There was zero chance of us being there for 8 hours.
Yeah,
like, that was literally never going to happen.
Possible, but...
You would have needed to, like, take a 2-hour break in the night.
And I'll be honest, like, I've been way worse in years past.
That's true.
Also, I'm on...
pills.
Gabby Logan right now. Gabapentin right now. So
Patrick's on Yo Gabba Gabba right now.
Well, it helps for the pinched nerve. But I mean, there have been C2E2s in Challengers past where we just go as a guest, and about like 2 o'clock, I'm like, I gotta sit down for a while.
Right.
But I mean, it wasn't as bad at all. In fact, I never complained.
That's true. Although when we were leaving, you were very much like, I don't know how I'm going to get to the car.
I mean, I say that every year.
You do. That's true. Yeah. And sometimes not even at C2E2. Sometimes you just say it like after a day at work.
Yeah, that's true.
Sometimes you say it at Target. I don't know.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, and I'm sure it looks fine, but to me it feels like I'm walking stiff-kneed. And
it looks fine.
And then it's the point where, because we always leave at rush hour traffic, it takes a good hour to get back to the store.
Right.
And then when you've been walking all day, but not like stretching or doing deep knee bends or leg lifts, just stepping normally, you're only using a certain part of your musculature.
Right.
So you're in like that, only that has been being worked out. And then you get into a car, which contorts your body. And then you sit in that position for an hour. And then you want to get out of the car and your body's like, oh, I don't think so.
Yeah.
You are locked in this position.
It's not good. It's not a fun experience.
Yeah. So, I mean, I also like to walk up and down the vendor aisles, although this year I wish I didn't, because Dal had this...
I had a really good eye.
Uncanny ability to find stuff at every booth.
Hey, Patrick, look at this.
For me to buy.
Hey, Patrick, did you see this?
Yeah, and, I mean, he was dead on every time. And, like, literally, I forgot about Night Owl, or whatever that Aew Booth was we were at in the first row, that had all the stitched-up plushies.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Shit.
Because they had the cap with the hammer.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, which I do not need.
You don't, it's true.
Do you see that bin right there?
We also, there was the... and this was just probably a case of, like, there's no way to get this out of here. We found that one booth that had the gigantic plush Captain America.
A giant
for $40.
Plush Captain America for $40. No, I didn't forget. It's just like, I don't fucking need it.
Yeah, it's, like, not only how would you get it out of there, which is question one.
I just carry it like a baby.
Give it a piggyback ride.
I would
question two is
shove it in the back of my vest so it's like a piggyback ride.
Like, then when you get it home, where does that go? Where does
exactly. And that's the problem. I would Tai Conti Sammy Guevara it out.
Yep, right on your shoulders.
Yeah.
For me, do you want to talk about what we got today?
Yeah. I'm only going to talk about some things I got, because
some things
I got, well, even things I got for me, I also got gifts at the same booth.
Of course.
Let me just say that I mainly bought stuff that people made that hit all my levels of fandom.
Yeah, there was... I mentioned this to Molly J, and just as an aside, how strange it always is to work in a store where you have access to so many different distributors, and yet still go to C2E2 and see mass-produced things where it's like, I had no idea this even existed. Like,
if we had the room,
bonker stuff.
I would want those owl plushies, and they're not of owls. That's their company name, like Night Owl or something.
Just these really cool custom-made plush figures from all over
everything.
Every fandom you can think of.
You know what's a big deal between last C2E2 and this C2E2? I watched Supernatural.
That's the thing. Like, one of there were a few booths that Patrick was specifically weak against that in previous years he would literally... I would not have been able to get him to stop to look at them.
I like the phrase "weak against."
Yeah. One of them...
They're defeating me!
One of them in particular...
No! Damn you, sad Crowley plush toy!
That I knew, I'm like, he's going to spend some money at this year, was the Lego minifigure booths. Because they've been there for years.
Well, you did that. You caused that to happen.
I did, it's true. But because you've done more Lego stuff, I'm like... He's going to see some of those Lego minifigures. He's probably going to want them.
Well, okay. I was actually fine with the Lego minifigures, and here's why. There's too many of them, and I can't pick and choose.
Yeah.
The only reason I got some today, why now?
Because they were custom made.
Nope.
Because I was getting some too.
Because you wanted some.
They were.
And you said, hey, it's,
5 for X amount, and I want 2.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I could get 3.
Yeah. So you got the same 2 I got, and then another one.
And do you remember which one I got?
I don't.
How I described it?
No. How did you describe it?
The horrible Captain America costume.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
They did a custom Secret Empire Captain America with the triangle shield.
Yep.
They had a bunch of great Falcons and Falcon caps, and I'm like, I want those.
Variations.
Like, no, I want that horrible costume.
Yeah. So I had seen. I wasn't planning on getting any Lego minifigures. It's not really my fandom.
It's not your thing.
It's not my thing. But they did have a Laura Kinney Wolverine and a Gabby Kinney Scout minifigures, where the Scout is smaller than the Wolverine. So I'm like, well, God.
They also had an X-23. They had a middle one,
but I don't want that.
Right. It's her slave name.
So I got those two, and then Patrick got the same two, and then he got a Captain America as well to fill out the 5.
Yeah.
And then we found another Lego minifigure booth later on, but I don't think there's anything any of us saw that were like, yeah, sure. The first booth was the better one, and that was the first one we found. And I mean, certainly, like, there wasn't anything I necessarily wanted. I was hoping for a Gwenpool. They didn't have one. But I mean, Patrick probably could have gotten 100 of those figures.
Yeah, I mean, but I didn't want to spend that much.
Of course.
The very first thing I bought was a Falcon Winter Soldier keychain, which was half cap shield, half Falcon symbol. And I do not need another keychain. In fact, I don't need another Falcon keychain. I have multiple Falcon keychains and way more cap keychains. But I immediately bought this keychain and clipped it on my bag.
Yeah.
And now it lives on that bag.
Which is a great way to carry stuff that you buy at a show. It's like, oh, it's part of something else I'm carrying.
Yeah. So it'll make it to every C2E2 if I keep using that bag there.
And that booth was really cool. They had a bunch of jewelry stuff. I mean, they had pins and some other things.
Their prices were really good.
They were really solid prices. And they had cool stuff, like they had a box set of Infinity Stone earrings.
Yeah. And it was like 20, it was 6 pairs?
Yeah, so pairs of each stone. So you would have, 2 power stones. Or you could do like a power stone and a soul stone or whatever. They were very cool.
What I liked about that booth is it was the dude's dad who was working it.
It was, yes.
And he doesn't know what stuff is.
Nope.
But he was super nice.
Yeah, he was very nice. He was just covering. But we found a bunch of stuff like that in that kind of opening aisle that we walked down. Was a lot of very cool craft stuff. That's across the aisle from that jewelry booth. We found that pin booth, Logan Arch. And they had some very cool designs that they had done.
I was still looking at the plushes. You knew that. I missed that entire exchange.
I felt bad about it because it was like I kind of ambushed the dude while he's trying to put stuff up on the displays for people who are walking the show, and I'm like, "Hi, I want to talk to you about wholesaling. Like, get out of here." Time and a place, dude.
Well, maybe he should have been set up by opening, but whatever. I don't know his truth.
It's true. You don't know his truth. Thank you for sharing your truth. But yeah, I thought there were a lot of very cool booths like that, and that aspect of the show. Even if, we walk through Artist Alley and we're like, God, too many craft stuffs and too many prints, some of the craft stuff is pretty cool. It's not necessarily what I want to spend a bunch of money on at a show, but it is very interesting to look at and talk about.
Yeah, or it's what Patrick spent a lot of money on at the show.
Patrick really did. Yes.
I could have bought so many Christmas presents.
Seriously.
But it's like for a lot of people, like I don't get gifts for these people, but I know they love it.
And I mean, next year's C2E2 show is already scheduled for August. Which, for someone who is tired of going to C2E2s in winter months in Chicago, thank you. The other thing, though, is that I wonder if there are certain vendors that really got helped out by it being 2 weeks before Christmas.
Like the custom scarf booth.
Just any of the weird trinkety stuff. Like the prints even, where it's like, oh, I know somebody who's a big fan of Pokemon or Dragon Ball Z or One Piece or Black Cat or a Batman or whatever.
I literally bought multiple presents for people that I didn't think I was buying for or I thought I was done with.
Sure.
And almost every time I bought a present at a booth, I bought something for myself at the same booth. Not the same thing, but something like similar.
One of the really tricky things with going to the show with Patrick and finding so many things that he would want that he also does not want to buy for himself is that you can't buy them for him. You're with him at the show.
Yeah.
We're all kind of attached to the hip for this show, so it's like, I can't, how am I going to get away and get this and also get it home?
I mean, I think getting it home is the hard part.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Well, you didn't bring a bag.
Right. And just in general, like, it's more convoluted.
There was one or 2 years I wore an actual backpack, because I have my Captain America shoulder bag that I got from an ad in Wizard magazine, which I love it. It's great. Do. But I also have a Captain America shield backpack and a Captain America utility backpack.
Right.
And I brought the shield backpack once and utility backpack once, but it's always this weird situation where I'm wearing it and you are putting things in it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the child you're packing his backpack for
I
school.
thought that worked pretty good. I thought that was a good team. But yeah, if I were going a second day this year, there were definitely things where I'm like, I would get that for Patrick, but it's like, I'm not going a second day. This is just probably not going to happen.
Great, so I lose.
Also, you're getting a lot for Christmas, so don't worry about that. And as always, the problem is, even if you got it as a gift, where's it going to go? Where is it going to go?
Sure. Well, I like the idea that I've been taunting you for weeks now because all your presents are right there.
Yeah.
And you can clearly see them. Like, I'm not trying to hide them with that Captain America pillow on top of it. It's just because the pillow always went on top of it.
Sure.
Did you never notice them before?
I noticed wrapped gifts there. I just never assumed they were for me.
Oh, yeah, those are all yours.
I'm not that presumptuous. The stuff I got at the show, the 2 Lego minifigures.
So did I.
One of the people
I'm going to say that a lot to what you buy.
One of the people we were kind of desperate to see, or at least I was desperate to see, because she's in my top 3 artists working in the industry today. Tula Lotte was set up again. And so we wanted to swing by her table to get the sketchbooks that Patrick had never told me he ever wanted. And I had no way of knowing that he would desire. So we were going to get those. And then I ended up not only going in on basically the other...
I like that you think that's funny.
I do. The other sketchbooks that I didn't have. And do I still have over here? Is it... I don't know where I would have that.
You better still fucking have it.
I must. It's probably in a drawer somewhere. I thought I had it up.
It better be under your pillow.
I thought I had it up on a shelf here, but I don't see it right now.
Yeah, I can show you every sketchbook I bought from people.
You can.
They're right there.
You're very good at that. Yeah, I probably have it in a bin over here somewhere.
You looked at it once and threw it away. You thought, nobody would give a shit about this.
I thought, I don't know anyone who would want this. I better get rid of it. So we bought...
You gave it to Molly Jane.
We bought the remaining Tula Lotte sketchbooks.
Which was a lot.
She had 4 that I'd never seen before. So I bought those, and then I spent some time hemming and hawing, and eventually went back. When we had gone to the table, she had not gotten in yet, because we were told that her flight had arrived very, very late. So basically, she was still sleeping when the show started, and eventually...
I was up then.
Eventually, she showed up at the convention, and we went back to the table, and so she signed and sketched in the various sketchbooks, and I had decided by that point, yes, I will get the Ana de Armas Blade Runner 2049 print. She did 2 designs. I couldn't decide which one, so I asked Tula which one her favorite was, and I was expecting to get this kind of like, well, and then, kind of like, there's no wrong answer, but she immediately went, no, the blue one. Like, okay, the blue one. We'll do the blue one. So I got those, and I think that's all I really got at the show, I want to say. The only things I bought, I think, beyond food.
Yeah.
I was not going there looking for anything. I mean, I always check and see in the anime toy section if anyone brought any Kamen Rider stuff, and I saw some fig arts, but no one brought any Kamen Rider stuff. The only fig arts they had were like domestically released ones like Star Wars and Marvel and Dragon Ball Z.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, I'm not looking at any for any toys this year.
Yeah.
So I don't need to look at toy booths.
Yeah.
I did stop. There was one loose figure spot that had 1 million toys.
They had a lot of Marvel Legends.
And I'm like, oh, look, they had that Phil Coulson. Oh, he's $40. I don't need that.
Yeah. But then you saw one for $25, and then you're still like, no thanks.
Yeah. I'm like, what are we going to do with them?
Okay.
Like, I've learned that, even though I don't have a Phil Coulson, the action figures that are just a dude in a suit,
yeah,
they're boring figures.
You're not going to keep that on your desk.
I mean, I have the Time Variance Authority Loki on my desk, and it's a bad figure.
Yeah, sorry.
It's a bad figure.
Sorry.
What did I buy? I bought that keychain, and then I saw an item. This is a terrible story. I saw an item that caught my eye immediately that could be a gift for someone I know. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, oh, they have a second one that they would also love. But it's not it's like a home craft thing. I'm like, I stopped because of the design. I don't think the practicality of this item is a thing that this person would ever use.
Right.
And I mentioned that to the person, and they said, oh, well, did you see what I have over there? And I went and said, oh, God damn it. Mm-hmm. Because the thing that they had was also very usable and a billion designs.
Right.
So I wound up getting 3 of them. 3. One for me, one for someone I didn't think I was buying a gift for, and then one for somebody else.
Right.
And then Oh, the other thing you didn't actually pay for. You got to meet Danhausen.
Everyone knows who Danhausen is. Everyone loves that Danhausen. Danhausen's very famous, very evil.
I did, yeah. We had looked at the schedule for wrestlers who are going to be at the show this year. Because back in early 2020, AEW was set up and they had a bunch of people. And we met Orange Cassidy.
But we stumbled into it. We
literally walked in and was like, oh, this is happening right now. Yeah, we could get in line right now.
We'll do this. Yeah, and you weren't happy with the amount of time we wasted in line.
At the time, I was kind of upset because it's like this. At the time, that was the last, probably, C2E2 you and I were going to get to go do together because we were opening a store.
Yeah.
We already opened a store.
Yeah.
And so the idea of being able to do this felt kind of like we'd snuck a way to do it. So, like, losing an hour of that, of the ability to go around and talk to other people and hopefully try and build up some momentum for that store at that point, was like, but...
Do you remember how many bookmarks was left?
We were leaving them
tables?
everywhere. Yeah. Everyone's table, like, hey, do you mind if we leave these River North bookmarks, please? Thank you. And that store then shut down, like, 2 weeks later. I think, like, 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Fun times. We got to talk about River North a bunch of times to people today who were like, yeah, you guys had a second store? We did. Here's the story. But yeah, we looked at the list of people who are going to be there, and it's like, who's going to be there on Friday? Orange Cassidy. We met Orange Cassidy last year. CM Punk. I'm not paying to meet CM Punk.
My joke was I would pay to not meet him.
Uh-huh. I'm not paying to get a picture with someone who shops at Challengers. Yeah. I'm sorry, that's kind of my rule. That goes for everybody who works at Challengers. So anyone who shops in our store who thinks they can charge me for a photo, I'm not paying it.
Not doing it.
I'm not paying for that. And then there were other people where it's like, I like Malachi Black, but I don't know that I need to meet Malachi Black. Yeah. That's okay.
You don't want to pay $75 to meet Matt Hardy.
Yeah, I'm all right. Orange Cassidy was sort of the very small window of like, I think it'd be cool to meet Orange Cassidy.
Sure.
But then it turns out that a non-AEW talent was going to be meeting fans, Danhausen. And we went,
as we all know, very nice and also very evil.
Yeah, we're like, wow, Danhausen. Yeah, okay, we'll try and meet Danhausen. And sure enough, we walked to the back at the end of the aisle that we had walked down where all the cool craft vendor stuff was.
Well, we weren't entirely sure where they were going to be exactly.
Yeah, because we'd known that he was like W1 or whatever is what it said on the website. And it's like, I don't know where that is because there's no map on the website.
But we ran into former Diamond employee and friend of the store's Cheryl Sloboda.
Yes.
And she and her husband's a big wrestling fan, always in a New Japan hoodie.
We had ran into both of them at the Rampage Dynamite thing at Wintrust a couple weeks earlier.
And we're like, yeah, we want to meet Danhausen. And he goes, oh, he's just going to be right there.
Yeah.
And then, like, 30 seconds later, Danhausen shows up.
Yeah, it was happening within minutes of exactly where we were. So it's like, okay, I guess let's do Danhausen while there's no line.
Like, you get in a ticket line to buy your ticket to who you're going to see.
Right.
Then you get in their line, but the lines were very, very manageable.
Yes,
it wasn't that big of a deal, and we saved time. What we've started doing is if there's a wrestler we want to take a picture with, we will take one picture, but be on either side of them, so we can each crop the other person out.
There was a point where we were getting our tickets for Danhausen, and you had asked the person you're getting the ticket with, is it okay if we have two people in the photo? And he said, yeah, and you said, okay, I want a picture with Danhausen. And he made a joke about like...
Just you?
Oh, so you're the one who wants it, he doesn't, pointing at me.
Yeah.
And it was like, no, actually it's kind of accurate, where it's like, I would not on my own have gotten a picture with Danhausen, but if Patrick wants a picture with Danhausen and I can be in it, okay, sure. I'm right here, I might as well do it.
The funny part was as we were waiting in line to see Danhausen, CM Punk shows up.
Yeah.
Gabe from C2E2 is leading him through. And, like, Punk has to stop behind the table and take a bunch of pictures with people, Danhausen and other people. I don't think he paid for this.
He did not. I didn't see any money change hands.
I didn't even see a ticket. But then he sets up his table, and he's looking around, and he sees us in line.
Uh-huh.
He looks over and goes, you assholes come here and wait in his line?
Uh-huh. That's my story from C2E2, is that CM Punk called me an asshole.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, we can see you all the time.
Yeah, no, man.
and then he looks over, and he sees Molly Jane, and he goes... Molly?
Yep.
And then quietly, like, I thought she quit. I wanted to say, yeah, people are known to quit what they do, and then come back 5, 7 years later, find a new passion for it. But that's as far as we got.
Yeah, and I mean, he had a line of people, so it wasn't a thing where it's like, sometimes we would run into people at the show who are behind a table, and we get to chatting with them, and it's like, whatever. But sometimes it's like, hey, thank you for calling over to us. Thank you for, chatting with us for a minute or two.
Yeah.
You have a line of people. I have to get out of the way.
One of my favorite stories is I was walking past Jason Aaron's table and nobody was there. Mm-hmm. And I stopped and I'm like, hey, man. He's like, hey, how's it going? And he he talked to me for maybe 2 minutes. Uh-huh. And then I realized his line was at they took a break at the aisle.
Right.
And I look over and there is a massive line for Jason Aaron.
There's probably
and
75 people there.
I just walked up right before the next
you
person.
You just big-timed them all.
Yeah. And I didn't know I was doing it. But I liked it because he's the one who kept talking.
And that's, because
I'm happy to walk by hey, Jason, good to see you,
right.
and move.
And there's a few people that we could have done that with, and it's just I think we very consciously, and this is going to sound so grandiose, we very consciously were let's not do that. Let's not put them in that position. Let's, when you wanted to get something signed by Joelle.
Yeah.
You know Joelle pretty well.
Yeah.
So you could have probably just snuck around the left part of the line and been hey, Joelle. You say hi, she says hi. Hey, would you mind signing this for me real quick? And then that would have been it.
I used to do that. I used to go behind people's tables
right.
and just come up and say hi. But only people I know well.
Right.
But I'm not doing that in a COVID social distancing world.
And plus it's just, there's these fans and this is an important moment for them and they're going to get a chance to meet somebody that they're...
Yeah, and they have to learn that
you're better than them.
Well,
and
no,
that
they know me more.
It's true.
That's all.
That you have a friendship with this creator that they will never have. But yeah, so the Danhausen thing.
Can I say how weird it was to ask you all to sign something?
Do you know how weird it was to wait in line?
Yeah.
To hold your spot in line so that Joel could sign something for you? It's I don't wait in line for these people. And that's a real quick aside. One of the things that we always want to do, as Patrick mentioned, is kind of, meet new people. A lot of what we do in Artist Alley is kind of saying hi to people that we haven't seen in a while or that we're friends with, how's their show going?
Yeah, checking in with our friends,
going?
Things like that.
But a lot of the value for us is being able to, meet people that are brand new that we could maybe work with in the future. We gave a card to Meredith Mclaren, who was set up at this show. This was her first time setting up at C2E2, and I'm a fan of hers, and she's got stuff that she's working on with Kelly Thompson. She's worked with Kelly Thompson before, and if she found herself in Chicago or wanted to do something in Chicago, I would love to work with her on doing a Challengers thing alongside that. And that's kind of what we would go up to people and after we waited in line with Tula Lotte, it's hey, also we have a store, and if you found yourself in Chicago and wanted to do something, please think of us.
I made sure Danhausen got a card.
Danhausen did get a card. But there's other people where it's yes, I would have loved to put a card in Doc Shaner's hands.
But his line is just too big.
His line's huge. And so
you don't want to wait in line
for 20 minutes
to take up his time when he's not...
When I'm not buying anything.
Yeah, exactly.
To just be hi, I run a store. I'd love to have you in for a signing. That just feels it lacks value for anyone involved.
The number of times we were talking to friends of ours and we're we got to go. We're blocking your table.
Right.
We're just going to move out of the way.
Right.
They're no, it's fine. I'm no, I literally don't want to take money out of your pocket.
Yeah, these are people who want to get something signed or buy a print or whatever, and I don't want them thinking I'll come back later because that person's busy.
And I don't know how bad this sounds, but
let's assume bad.
There's plenty of times at the show where I want to buy something from a friend of mine, mm-hmm. and they're you can just have it. I'm no, I don't want to just have it. You had to pay for this.
Yeah.
This is your hard work and your effort.
We have a lot of artist friends and a lot of people who shop with us who are known in the industry. We'll give them a discount on books. I'm not giving them books. I got money in those books. I can't afford to give them away. I wouldn't expect them to do the same thing. If they want to cut me a deal or something, let's talk. But the whole I'm going to give you this thing. No, let's not do that.
I was going to buy 2 small paintings from Franco. He's just take them. I am not taking these. You had to sit down and paint on this canvas. I'm not just taking it.
That said, I did let Ryan Brown give us a very scarce copy of the rapidly selling out 8 billion Genius.
After we argued with him about it on 2 separate occasions.
2. And for the record, one book, not 2.
I will, one book for both of us. Yes. Fine. I will acquiesce if they make a big deal out of it.
Yeah, I don't want to fight somebody on it. I'm not going to blow up at somebody because they're not going to let me give them $10 or whatever. That seems like a bad use of a friendship.
I got a thing today, and I'm not going to say what it is because I feel super guilty about it.
Don't mention that.
And they're just like, no, you can have it. I'm like, I don't just give it to me.
Yeah.
This had to cost you money. And they're like, you're not paying for that. I'm like, yeah, it's an awkward. It's like it's wonderful you think of me that way.
Yeah,
but I'm uncomfortable
really
I'm taking money out of your pocket.
Yeah. That is a thing where there's like a discrepancy in our friendship now, and I don't know how to rectify it.
Yeah,
I don't have the power to level this playing field.
I owe you now.
Right, son of a bitch.
Yeah, and it's from somebody who's already doing something for us next year.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah.
But anyway, good people. We caught up with a lot of folks. We met a bunch of new people. That was very fun. The show itself was really weird in that I don't know if it was successful for C2E2 or the attending vendors and artists. I loved how wide open everything was and how easy it was to get places and walk down aisles and get to booths. But unfortunately, some of that comes with the cost of there were not a lot of people there.
I gotta say, the majority of artists we talked to said they were doing well.
Right.
And then we had heard...
One person specifically said they were not doing well, but then also added all of their friends were doing well.
Yeah.
So take that for what it's worth.
We heard from Molly Jane that somebody who was at Emerald City at Seattle said, today has felt like the best day there from last week.
Right. Which I don't know if that means... I took that to mean, oh my God, Emerald City was real bad. Not, this is, even better than they could have expected. But maybe it went that way. Maybe it was an even better, not a last week was a nightmare.
What I was happy about was that every friends table we stopped by, they were busy. If they weren't talking to people in line, they were working on commissions.
Yeah, or people were coming up as and we had to leave because people were coming to their table, so it's like, okay, great.
Here's a quick Daniel Warren Johnson story. He's a big wrestling fan. He loves Japanese wrestlers, and
as Kyle Starks would say, he's a Russell boy.
He's a Russell boy.
He's a Russell boy.
And I miss Kyle and Chris at this show.
Yeah, right? That was, I don't want to segue, but there was a bunch of people where it's like, oh, they didn't make the trip.
Yeah, no Scotty, no Jason.
A lot of people, there's a bunch of folks that we would normally have seen that just...
No Burnham.
Because of COVID or the season or whatever, they just did not make the trip.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You saw him mark out so hard when he heard Minoru Suzuki's entrance music.
Incredibly hard.
At a live show.
Yeah.
Today we saw him get the second most excited we've seen him.
Yeah.
Because Molly Jane had trail mix.
Yeah. He was very hungry. He was eating a turkey sandwich. And he was clearly like in a sort of like low blood sugar, hangry sort of thing where it was like he needed to eat or things were going to get bad. And so he mentioned that Molly Jane had brought snacks, and one of those snacks was trail mix. And I swear, like, his eyes got twice as big as his hands
he kind
planted on the table.
Yeah, he kind of jumped a little. Yeah. And he said, "You do?"
Yeah.
And A, we mocked her for bringing it.
Oh, absolutely.
B, we mocked her for definitely bringing the snap peas in a bag.
I joked to someone like, oh yeah, Molly Jane brought a whole picnic.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, he was super into it, and then it was great.
And then she's like, "You want some?" He's like, "Can I have some?"
Yeah. So she has this little like
square Tupperware,
plastic Tupperware container, a little square guy,
little snap lid sides.
So he opens it up and just like dumps a bunch of it on his table, and she's like, "You can just like you." I think Patrick had suggested like.
Just keep it.
Keep it.
And we're going to see you Wednesday.
Yeah, we would be getting it back from him at some point, so she would get it back. And he was very like, what? No, like, no, it's fine. Like, and all I'm thinking is, my dude, you've already had like half of it.
Yeah.
Like, just keep the container so you're not making a mess on your table.
My question was, do you scoop that half back into the bowl?
Don't be eating random nuts off of your table. Don't do that. It's still a comic convention, man.
We're literally seeing him Wednesday. He can just bring it back then.
So yeah, he kept it, and he was very excited to have trail mix.
He's so excited,
and he was like the stuff that I had just said about like I'm almost angry at my need to make this right. He was kind of in that thing where it's like, I owe you. No, I owe you. Like he was very like, this thing with Molly Jane is a thing that
it's a blood debt.
Yeah, this saved him. This was, yeah. It was pretty fantastic to see. Anyway, it seemed like everyone was having a pretty good show. We ran into a bunch of customers, which was great. Friends of the store.
Good shirt signings. The Springhams both wearing 2 different Challenger shirts.
Yep.
Drew Triner, Challenger shirt.
And a signed Challenger shirt at that.
A signed Challenger shirt. The Melissa Suzanne signed his shirt. Yeah. Steve Tramontana wearing a Challenger's this year's Keep Reading Comics shirt.
Yeah, there you go.
And then, of course, the designer of that shirt, Ali Cantarella, wearing it. And as she and 2 times today, I yelled people's names or something like that across. I did it to Rick. And I don't like doing that because I don't like people doing it to me.
Right.
But it worked both times.
Yeah. Well, it was a situation where people were moving very fast. And as you've noted, your ability to catch up with people is slightly limited.
Slightly diminished.
So you've got to use your voice a little bit to bring them closer or slow them down.
But, like, so for Rick, I'm like, Rick! But for Allie, as she's walking by, I just said loudly, wow, look at that great design shirt. Somebody amazing must have designed that shirt. Mm-hmm. And then she stopped and turned, and when she sees us, and, like, we take a step toward her, she kind of, like, jumps back. Yeah.
She said we look like a crew.
Yeah. But I think she was jumping back like, hey, look at this shirt. But it looked like she was trying to get away from us.
She was scared. Yeah. She was scared.
I mean, it's true. We did color coordinate and mask coordinate.
We had the Challengers masks and everything. And just, we look intimidating, as anyone can tell you who's seen the Challengers championship belt.
I mean, that's I meant to bring the belt, but I didn't.
You said that today.
I know. Like, I wouldn't have wanted to carry it.
You wouldn't have wanted to take it out of the car. You'd have been like, ugh.
I would just make Molly Jane carry it.
Molly Jane had volunteered to wear it the whole time.
It's too big for her.
It's way too big for her to wear.
On its smallest setting, it'll fall right off her waist.
Yep.
Also, she hasn't earned it.
Don't want her to get a big head.
Hey, speaking of Molly Jane, we should check in with her.
How's she doing?
And once again, we're going to check in with Molly Jane. Molly Jane, how's it going?
Pretty good.
What are you doing right now?
We are driving home from C2E2.
You went to C2E2?
I did.
How was it?
I really enjoyed myself.
When was the last time you were at a convention?
C2E2 last year. Last February.
So virtually 2 years ago.
Yeah, almost.
How did it feel being back at a show?
It was really great. I'm used to going to like 2 or 3 comic conventions a year, so not going to any in this long of a span has been strange. And I was worried I was going to be more nervous about just COVID protocols and such, but I wasn't. I think they did a good job of being cautious, and it wasn't overly crowded, so I wasn't nervous.
What are the steps you had to take to be able to have access to the show?
Well, it was nice to be able to have a ride.
No, I mean as far as COVID precautions go, like what did you, the average person, have to do?
Well, you download the Clear app, which C2E2 recommended that all of its attendees do, and you enter in your photo ID, and then you have to take a selfie with it as well, and also enter in all your vaccine info from your card, your vaccine card.
So booster, shot 1, shot 2, and the booster if you have it.
If applicable, yeah. And then it gives you a little sort of ID screen with a QR code to show as you're entering, so they can see that you are fully vaccinated as you go in.
So the first thing you do is you go in and you go to one of their health stations, which, admittedly, C2E2 made it sound like that there was only one of them. There were a lot, and they were plentiful, and you breezed right through.
Yeah, it was a whole big row of them. Although we were there pretty early, so maybe they got crowded later on.
Yeah, but did you notice that we passed all the ones in the foyer? There were more at the actual start of the line.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they waved me through because they saw the wristband, which is the thing they give you. They give you a cloth wristband, adjustable, and you have to wear it the whole weekend if you're coming back each day. But
it's only adjustable one way.
Yeah.
It's adjustable tighter, not looser.
Which is, a lesson you don't want to, learn the hard way. But they give you the wristband, and you keep it on all weekend to prove that you are vaccinated. I wore a shirt with a very long, swoopy sleeve, so it was covering the wristband for most of the time. Didn't realize that was going to happen.
They only really seem to ask for the show the wristband when you were getting into the line and then getting into the front doors.
Yeah.
I imagine if you left to go to a panel room and came back, you have to show it again.
Yeah, we didn't do much exiting and re-entering, any of that.
So from there it was to get through the metal detectors, which is fine.
And the bag search and all that stuff.
Yeah, and then we had to wait in the main line to get in.
Yeah.
And then you walk in, and last year, immediately to the left was the Aew booth. We never actually saw the Aew booth per se. It was just the Pro Wrestling Tees booth and a whole bunch of, like, you get in a ticket line to get a ticket to go meet the person you want to meet, and then you go back into a separate line to then get your photo or your autograph.
Yeah.
So how did you attack the show?
Attack it?
What was your plan of attack on the show floor?
I mean, the main thing I wanted to do that I usually always want to do is just check out Artist Alley, see everyone's new art, their wares, their prints, their pins and or T-shirts, if applicable. I mean, that's the main thing that I wanted to see. There was a good amount of vendors, but obviously not as many as last year. It was a little disconcertingly empty when you first walk in, but once you got in, it's a little more spread out.
Highlights from Artist Alley?
Definitely seeing Tula Lotte, seeing Jenny Frizen, Stephanie Hans. I was looking for Cara McGee, but I couldn't find her. I'm so upset.
Yeah, I don't recall passing Cara McGee at all.
Yeah. Who else? We saw Daniel Warren Johnson, who we just saw a couple days ago at his signing.
And you gave him an entire Tupperware tin full of trail mix.
I did, because he appreciated that I brought trail mix, because it's a good snack to bring to a convention.
I mean,
now.
I've seen Dan get super excited when he hears Minoru Suzuki's music at, say, an AEW live event, which is unexpected, of course, because Minoru Suzuki wrestles for New Japan. But he, like, the second most excited I've seen him is that container of trail mix.
It was good trail mix, too. It's like...
No, it wasn't. It didn't have chocolate chips.
See, I don't like it.
It didn't have M&Ms.
I don't like it.
It didn't have little caramel balls.
See, if I want candy, I'll eat candy. If I want trail mix, I want...
No, that's trail mix. It says right on the box, trail mix. It has peanuts.
But it was really nice to get to see people again and to just feel the connection to the community like that. You can only get that at a convention, and it's priceless. And I'm just so glad to have it back.
I will say that it was almost annoying how many times people were like, "Oh, hey, Molly," and you're like, "I can't believe they remember me." It was every time.
When somebody's like. Some people I haven't seen in like years and years and years, and everybody's wearing masks, and everybody's gotten older. And I've changed my hair. I assume I look fairly different, and I'm always pleasantly surprised when people remember.
Yes, you've changed your long red hair, so it's longish red hair.
I think it looks different. I guess it's not bangs like last year. Last year it was bangs.
Which, of course, everyone remembers.
That's
last year.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
This was worried about. Everybody reassociated me with the bangs, and.
Sometimes it was hard to tell when people would say your name if they meant like, "Oh, it's good to see you," or "What the f*** are you doing here?" Specifically, CM Punk, who went, "Molly."
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't sure if it was, "Molly, get away from me."
Oh, her. What's she doing
or,
here?
"Molly, you're back."
I heard him say, "I thought she quit."
Yeah, he did. He did say that. Yeah.
But he didn't call me an asshole.
No, that was just me and Al. He's right to. You've met us.
Yeah.
What did you purchase at the shore? Or the shore? Been to the shore lately? Buy any seashells? Some daiquiris?
No.
Some flip-flops? Some sand shoes? Get a metal detector and search for buried treasure in the sand?
No.
Okay. So, if you're not at the shore, what did you buy at the show?
I only bought a couple prints this year. I held my spending down. Very proud of myself. I got a Midsummer print from Tula Lotte that she did a little remark on it for me. Very excited. And I got this really awesome print of like ramen, which seems like a weird thing, but it was a bowl of ramen by this artist that we found, Fend, F-E-N-D. Actually, let me look up.
For the record, I am taking full credit for finding Fend. I'm the one who dragged us to that table.
As you should. Anyway, her stuff was awesome. I'm going to look up her Instagram really quick.
I'm going to try to figure out what these lanes of traffic are, because this just looks like everybody's going somewhere. Yeah, like this lane is merging, and this lane is merging, and I'm in the middle.
Anyway, it's Fend, F-E-N-D, 13th, 13th, and stuff is really cool.
What is that? Her Instagram name?
That is her Instagram. Yes.
Okay. What is the first picture on her profile?
I got to open it back up again. I just closed it.
Why did you close it?
It's a photo of her C2E2 booth.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
So people can know exactly where we were and what we were looking at.
Yeah, and it has "Fine OK" really big all over her booth, and that's what's in the photo.
Uh-huh. So, Molly, in these instances where we're talking and I'm driving and you go to look something up on your phone, you need to keep talking to fill the space, just for the future, because I'm trying not to kill everybody in the car.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Now I'm at a stoplight, so it's fine. And I can turn that off.
And the lanes have kind of rearranged themselves into something that
they have. And people got to hear my car give that warning beep like, somebody's in your blind spot, which is good. So you had a good time? You'd recommend the show?
I did.
Not that it matters because this episode won't go out until the show's over.
Yeah, I recommend in hindsight going to C2E2.
For next year,
yes.
Which is like the first weekend of August.
Yeah, August apparently. Wow.
Yeah. Well, good job, Molly.
Thanks. Good job for giving me a ride here, Patrick. And a ride home.
Well, I mean, Dal told me I had to.
He's very insistent.
I wasn't inviting you to the show. Well, behind her back you did. All right, that was checking in with Molly.
Bye.
So there you have it, our C2E2 2021 wrap-up. We all had a really good time.
Yeah, successful show for us. I hope it was a successful show for everyone exhibiting as well as Reed Pop. Very glad they were able to bring the show back this calendar year.
Yeah.
I like the idea that even in COVID, C2E2 has not missed a year.
And they are slowly working their way back to their normal time of the year.
Yeah, very excited to see what a summer C2E2 looks like. We've never had an August show. It's been, God knows, C2E2 in its 14 years or whatever has been all over the calendar.
But they're creeping up. It'll get back to its regular March habitat soon.
Yeah, because there was no sense in doing a December show and then being end of February, early March. That's crazy. Yeah. No one's going to want to do that.
But we did run into multiple C2E2 people, including the, I guess, newly crowned mayor of C2E2.
Yeah, inaugurated, I guess.
Yeah, inaugurated. That's good.
He had a sash.
Complete with a sash, yeah. Mike Negan, the mayor of C2E2.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll definitely be checking out the 2022 show in August. And
anything else that happened in the comics industry?
Can wait.
We'll get to next week. Yeah. If that. Who knows what next week brings. Thanks for listening.
And keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.